Hey, Mitch.
Oh, hey, Ed, how are you?
Yeah, good. Hey, what's that in front of you?
Oh, this thing? I don't
Yeah.
know. I found it at a yard sale. Kind of cool. I think it's like Easter eggs or something.
I wouldn't have that in the house if I was you.
Why? It's just a big egg thing. What could go wrong?
Well, I wouldn't. Mitch,
Yeah,
you got something on your face.
over here.
No, your whole face.
Oh, oh, wow. That's good. That could have ended pretty bad, huh?
Uh, let's
Hmm.
just start the show. Hi, this is Ed Dollister,
And this is Mitch Halleck.
and welcome to another exciting episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. If it's your first time here, thanks for clicking on us. If you are a regular viewer, thanks so much for coming back. Mitch, before we start today's scary, scream-worthy topic, how can you find out a little bit more about what we do?
Oh, Ed, it is as easy as being impregnated by an alien monster and then giving birth to it right in front of your friends at the cafeteria as it explodes from your chest. All you do is hit the button below and you'll be subscribed to the Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure and be notified whenever we go on a new adventure into the past, looking at TV, movies, and more right here on YouTube. And hit the like button because it's a cool thing to do. So what are we doing today, Ed?
We're heading to deep space and we're looking at the cult. It's not even a cult classic, it's just a bona fide classic, Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. Now, before I ask whether you saw this in the cinemas, I'm going to our trusty rating the movies. The crew of a cargo carrying spaceship on a return voyage to Earth encounter a terrible monster. It's an effective horror film with impressive and scary special effects that should send you away with your knees knocking. But it's also familiar stuff with elements of Star Wars, The Exorcist, and Jaws blended into the script, which dangles many loose ends. The small cast does a good job, especially Weaver, who performs much in the style of Jane Fonda. Also with Ian Holm, Harry Dean Stanton, and Yaphet Kotto. Director Ridley Scott, 3 stars.
Wow, that's a glowing review. That's pretty
So
accurate. I'll agree with that one. That's
yeah,
pretty good
so I mean,
assessment.
one
Yeah.
thing they did say is that a lot of people did think that Sigourney Weaver was a in reminiscent of Jane Fonda in her delivery and performance for that.
Oh, is that the analogy? Because I was like, where are
Yeah.
you getting that from? Yeah,
So
maybe. I
so
guess.
Alien, did you see this in the cinemas, Mitch?
No, I did not. Because why? It was rated R here in the States. I was like 12. Yeah, about 12. So no, I couldn't go just walk in. And from what I had heard, it was damn scary and real spooky. So nobody around the house was, wanting to go to see a rated R scary movie. So no, I had to wait until I saw it on what do you call it? VHS tape
Mm-hmm.
years later in the 80s, just before Aliens came out in 1985 or 86, I believe.
86.
Yeah, that's when I saw Alien for the first time. Uh actually, you know what? We rented it and we watched it at the house. My mom and my dad were there. And it was kind of one of those awkward scenes when Sigourney Weaver's in her skivvies at the end, you know, trying to get away from the alien. She's got her, panties and her little t-shirt on. You're like, should I be watching this in the house with mom and dad? But yeah,
But it's
it's
all
it
right
was.
to see someone's, getting their head crushed in
Oh
or
yeah,
anything
that's
like that.
fine. Yeah, but America, we're uptight about sex.
Yes.
Yeah, you could kill the Third Army and slaughter everybody, behead each one of them, but you show any, woof, you got a problem on your hands. But anyway,
I'm
what
even
about
shocked you
you?
saying that. And when did they do that in Alien? I must have missed that. Are you thinking of
Oh,
are you
Ed,
thinking of
Ed, Ed.
Extro?
Did you ever look at those Geiger illustrations?
Giga?
They're Geiger. They're very.
I say Giga, you
I
say
say
Gaga.
Giger, you say Geiger. I say Xenomorph, you say Alien.
Let's just
Giger,
call the whole thing
Geiger.
off.
Let's call the whole thing. No,
No,
buddy.
direct the
No, they're
movie.
very
Okay.
phallical. In fact,
Okay.
so much so,
Here we go.
jumping ahead, when is it Bannon, the producer or the writer, one of them was coming through
Yeah.
customs with the props. for the movie that was built on, Geiger's thing. The Carlo Rambaldi
Yes,
actually
he
executed the
built it.
prop.
Yes.
Yeah, and they stopped him at the airport and they said, "What in the hell is this?" He goes, "Oh, it's for a monster movie we're doing, Alien." They're like, "Yeah, okay." Because if you look at it, they're very sexualized, some of the images. But anyway, that's
I
just
never got into any
you
of that.
never heard that?
Well,
No?
I never I mean, I never watched the film when it came out either. It was only
Yeah.
rated M in Australia. So it came out in December in
So
1970.
what does rated M mean? Is that for Michaels? What does that mean?
No, M is for mature
Mature?
audiences.
Oh,
So
so that's rated R.
we had G rated NRC, then M, and then R, and then
Okay, so
X.
rated G here's general audience, means anybody can
Yes.
see it. PG is like your NRC.
Yes. So we
Recommended for
NRC,
children?
we had PG. Obviously, we've spoken about that, when
Yeah.
Gremlins and Temple of Doom came out, but
What does
before that,
NRC stand for?
not recommended for children.
Okay, I
So
thought so.
it's funny. I'm looking at my Superman the movie poster up here, and it's got a big NRC on it, going, "That's not recommended for children." Crazy.
Really?
Yeah. And Star
Wow.
Wars was NRC as well, I believe.
Oh, and then so M mature here you had to be over 17 to go to a rated R
I
movie.
think it was 15 for
Oh,
mature
okay.
here. So
Oh, all right, yeah. And then we had rated X, which was like hardcore porn and violence. They didn't have
yes.
that there?
Well, I didn't see anything of it, but I think that was probably
No. Anyway,
let's get back to this Alien.
No, but it's funny though. Starlog magazine that we often talk about here on the show. I did see a lot of making of, and they did a lot of coverage of it. So I knew of the movie, and then believe it or not, I actually got the book, which is a comic book by Walt Simonson and Archie Goodwin. So I actually read the book in 79, 80. So I kind of like knew the movie without seeing the movie. You knew the whole story, and I think I read the adaptation by, of course, Alan Dean Foster, who wrote everything.
Which is right here.
Yeah,
So,
I had that. Yeah.
and of course, there was no pictures of the alien or anything like that because they did want to hold off on that.
But you know what's so funny? The toy showed it. I don't know if they showed it there. Months after the movie came out, because you're right, there was no pictures of the alien monster, none of it in Starlog magazine or anything like that. But then they started advertising toys in the fall. Here, they had like a 12-inch Kenner.
Kenner brought out,
yeah, the alien, and you press a button, and the tongue came out and all that. So they made toys for kids,
and there was quite an uproar with regards to that. And I think it's quite well known in the toy community or pop culture community that they were going to bring out a line of the 3 3/4 action figures. That got nixed. Years later, Reaction brought out the alien, sort of, in homage to it, which looked pretty cool. We're sort of going in reverse here.
I know we're all over the place. We didn't even talk about the making of it. So
anyway, I know we'll get there. But I will say hold on. I will say there is a board game that they brought out, an alien board game. Yeah, and it goes for $100-$200 here.
Wow.
Yeah,
I never saw the board game.
Parker Brothers, I think.
Yeah, Parker Brothers is company.
Yeah. So they did. It was weird what they brought.
I think they did a puzzle of the movie poster, because the movie poster was this cool egg shape and said in
with
space,
the laser going through it.
I always thought it was like an egg cracking. I never.
Yeah, well, with the laser going through the egg, and it basically, it was one of the great taglines of all time. In space, no one can hear you scream. Of course, in space, no one can hear you do anything.
Yeah, really. Anything. There's no sound. It's a vacuum.
But we didn't think of that at that point. So the film starred Sigourney Weaver as Ripley. We've got Ian Holm as Ash, who we find out is an android later on. Most people, spoilers. Most people know Ian Holm today from
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit. Yep. But he was a well-known Shakespearean actor. We had Kane, played by John Hurt. Of course, we know from Kingdom the Crystal Skull. I'm sure we know him from a lot of other things, of course.
He's the war doctor as well for Doctor Who fans.
That is correct. Tom Skerritt, who played Dallas.
From MASH.
Well, the original, yes, that's right.
Yeah, Duke Forrest, that's right.
You know what I was shocked at?
What?
Tom Skerritt is 90 years old.
I know, and he still does conventions, because I'm like, whoa, wow.
So he because he was 46 at the time of the filming. And one thing I was in my research, I was reading that people were saying that the actors in it were not your typical, like, from a horror film
No,
slasher sort
no.
of thing. They were all in their 30s and 40s,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah.
people really could relate to them.
Yaphet Kotto, who I remember is the bad guy from Live and Let Die
Yes,
with James Bond. That's how I knew him. And
he
was
played
he on the
Parker.
Twilight Zone? What were you saying?
He played Parker in the film. I can't remember if it was in the Twilight Zone. He might have.
No, no, no. He was on some show earlier, like either Outer Limits or something. But I remember seeing Yaphet Kotto. Honestly, he has very distinctive features. He's got these really big eyes whenever you see
Yes,
it. Oh, there's Yaphet Kotto. And then Cartwright, because she was around forever too. She was
she
in,
was. She played Lambert, and she was
Amber.
a little
Yeah.
bit disappointed. She actually auditioned for Ripley,
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah,
and when she
yeah.
went for a costume fitting, she found out she didn't get it. She got the other
Right.
character, and she was a bit disappointed because her character is always a little bit scared, a bit,
And whiny and
wishy-washy and
crying.
everything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And Ridley Scott said, "Well, you're the audience. Okay,
No,
you're
you're,
going to
are
experience
you
what the
forgetting some?
audience."
Oh, and Harry Dean
Harry Dean
Stanton, who,
Stanton as Brett, yeah.
yeah, who didn't want to do it at all. They offered it to him, but he just said, "Look, I don't do horror movies and I don't do monster movies," and this was both. So,
Yeah. And I think what works really well is, they're essentially, I think they've been called like space truckers,
they were supposed to be, yeah, hauling cargo. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
I think the production design, you've got Ron Cobb, you had Roger Christian, the art director from Star Wars.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it looks great. And that opening scene, like the first maybe 5 minutes, there's probably no dialogue whatsoever.
No,
And
yeah.
those great zooms through, not even slow
The
moves through
corridors. Yeah, yeah.
the corridors, and you have a look at that, and it looks fantastic. And I think
See,
the whole,
that part of it looks a lot like the clean 2001 Inside Discovery and that. So you got that high-techy, very clean look. And
yes,
then once they all get up and they're all in their underwear and they're waking up from the sleep, and then they start going to work, they put their grubby clothes on. Now
yes,
it's turning into like a truck stop.
yeah,
So
I think that works. They used lots of aeroplane parts and
yeah,
actual
yeah,
cockpits and things like that, so it all looked really
yeah.
real, I think.
Lived
And
in, yeah, yeah.
I
Like there
think
was
obviously the influence of
industrial.
Star
Yeah.
Wars and that used universe really worked
Mhm.
in its
Mhm.
favor. The film was directed obviously by Ridley Scott,
Right.
who just came off his first film, The Duelists, and they
The
were really,
duelist, yeah.
yeah, and they were really sorry, The Duelists. Sorry,
The
it's
duelist. Duelist.
Duelists.
Hey,
Anyway,
but I do
yep.
know this though. The script was around for a couple years
Hmm.
actually, and Bannon,
Dan O'Bannon.
Dan O'Bannon, they tried getting it sold for a while, and of all people, Roger Corman got involved behind the scenes, and they were kind of hesitant because Roger
Mhm.
Corman was known for schlocky, cheap movies. They didn't want to go that route. And then Walter Hill, who years later will make 48 Hours and a bunch of other
Yes.
movies, he had a production company, I think called Brandywine,
Yes.
and they got involved and they tampered with the script too, but they started changing things here and there. But it went under a lot of hands before it actually comes to film in late 78 for a 79 release. So it wasn't, and actually the movie that everyone recalls that this might have been based on, but not so much, was Dark Star, which is a
Well,
John Carpenter comedy type of
yeah,
thing.
so Dan O'Bannon was involved in Dark Star,
Yeah, yeah.
and but it's also Planet of the Vampires.
It had a different name too. At first, it was going to be a comedy, I heard at one point. Then they made it back to a serious movie. Then it had different titles. One of them was called Star Beast, I
Mhm.
think. And then they said, "Oh, we'll just change it to Alien because you don't know what it is. It's like an adjective or a noun. It could be both." Even it had another name I can't think of right now. But no, it went to production before I think the script was finished, the final script. I think they even had some changes there on set. But anyway, it came together. Well,
It all pulled together. They
it
had
did, yeah.
wonderful production design. You had Jerry Goldsmith do the score. 20th Century Fox, of obviously, the company that brought out Star Wars.
Planet of the
Even they were
Apes.
a little bit hesitant with
Yeah,
regards to
yeah.
it because they weren't exactly sure. It came out in 1979. It was a blockbuster. It
Yeah,
made 185 million on
yeah.
on I think it was like an under $20 million movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't spend that much because it's all very darkly lit and stuff like that. And they used a lot of actually, practical effects. There's no CGI back then. Like the models, like the alien. I can't remember what they used to call them, but the big alien creature they
The
find,
space jockey.
the space, yeah, the space jockey. And then, do you know that actually that Ridley Scott's kids are in the movie? Because to make the forced perspective, they had little spacesuits made. So his kids are in the spacesuits and filmed from a distance. So it looks like
It's
that thing
even
is
bigger.
bigger. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
clever. That's the magic of movies.
Yeah, back in
Um,
the day.
so the visual effect, it won the Academy Award for best visual effects, and
Good.
rightly so. You had, I can't recall the name of the performer who played the alien, but they were very clever in.
Oh, he was a very skinny, tall art
Yeah,
student.
he was like seven feet,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they never showed like him front on to
In the
sort of,
light, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so it would sort of look alien, and that design with the human skull at the front.
I
And
know. You know how I knew that human skull was there? Because when I went to build the model, the NPC model, when you're building, that's how I realized there was a skull in the
yes,
membrane that was on the top of it. But you didn't see it in the movie. But boy, oh boy, unfortunately, this box is all I have left of that thing because I built the model years ago and I broke it and lost it. But
uh
this is it. I keep all
that's
my
pretty
trading,
cool.
right?
That's cool.
Over 9 inches tall, and I think it glowed in the dark or something. I can't remember, but it was there. It was
I
cool.
love
Back
those
in the
model
day.
kits that NPC used to bring
Oh,
into.
NPC, they did the Star Wars ones too back in the
Yes,
day.
they need to re-release. They re-released the Star Wars ones. I wonder why they don't re-release Alien.
I don't know. You know what? Speaking of merchandise, we talked about, so they did have an alien toy. I remember seeing that as a kid.
Yeah,
I sent away, speaking of Starlog magazine, the Nostromo, or the ship that they're
Nostromo.
on.
Yeah, the
They
Nostromo.
yeah, they had baseball caps with the patches and everything. And I do remember sending away for that hat with the little, I think it was like almost a rainbow color. And I never got it. So somewhere out there, somebody got the mail. That hat, that was my hat. I don't know
Well,
what happened.
you
What
can
would,
get that on eBay.
yeah.
That, and also Wayland Yutani. So the corporation,
Yes.
it was Wayland Yutani in Alien, and then for Aliens they added a D, so it was Wayland
Oh,
Yutani.
Wayland Yutani.
But
I was going to say about the spacesuits real quick. We mentioned before when we did our Outland review, which you could
yes,
see somewhere.
I know.
We talked about the similarity between the spacesuits that Sean Connery wears in that movie and these. There is a connection somewhere that they mentioned that the mining colony, it's Con something it's called, is like maybe set in the past before Alien. There is some type
Yes.
of connection that their companies are related somewhere. So
Well, we've got the connection between Blade Runner. There's a
yeah.
connection between that and Blade Runner. Obviously, Predator, because you've got that Aliens versus Predator.
Oh yeah.
And of course that this we're not talking about all the other Alien movies that came out.
Right. No, we're just
There
only doing.
is, I will bring this out, which is this fantastic so
Oh wow.
this actually lights, that's lit up. You won't be able to see it, I think, on the yeah, it's a
I
bit
can
hard
see
to
it.
see.
Yeah.
That
Where'd you
lights
get
up.
that?
So I just got this the other day, actually.
What is
And
that? A cookie jar?
no, in it is the Alien anthology on
Oh,
Blu-ray.
that is really cool.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
So,
the fact that it's still physical media is cool because that's slowly going away.
well, that's
Some
true. This was released quite a while
Hmm.
around, but that's the only two pieces of alien memorabilia. The that 12-inch figure
Hmm.
that you were speaking about goes for a lot of money.
Oh, I was gonna
Hundreds of
say
dollars.
there's deleted scenes in the movie. I was just double
Yes.
checking the book here to see if they have it because it took years for those scenes to come out. I think they're in the adaptation too, because I remember because Dallas, Tom Skerritt's character, gets captured and Sigourney Weaver's going through the bowels of the ship, and then she finds almost like a cocoon.
Yes.
And I think the young lady too, the Cartwright character,
Veronica Cartwright.
Veronica, yeah, she's there, and they basically they have eggs hatching in their chest because they've been impregnated by the
Yes.
xenomorph. and he's like, kill me, and she just burns him with the flamethrower and torches him. But I think they incorporated that years later, like Ridley Scott did another version, maybe a
Yeah,
director's
there was
cut,
like a
and put
director's
that in.
cut where they added a
Yeah.
few extra scenes. And you can, there you can get access to all those deleted
Oh, it's all
scenes.
on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you can get that, there's a really good documentary on there on the making of the film. But Alien, certainly in Australia, Alien and Aliens, they're all available on Disney Plus.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, well, because of Fox. Yeah.
yeah. So through we've got I think you have Hulu, don't you? Is it
We have
Hulu?
Hulu. Yeah.
So
It's the
we have
problem with Hulu.
Star, which is part of Disney Plus. So that's sort of the more like the Touchstone films and all the
I got
20th
you.
Century Fox stuff. So you
Did
can
you
see it there.
know?
Yeah.
Did you know when they do the scene with John Hurt when he's eating the food and then the baby pops out of his chest?
Yes.
I've been told that they didn't tell the cast members what's going to happen. So that's why when you see the blood go flying all over, obviously they didn't make it pop out of his chest, but Cartwright screaming and stuff. A lot of those are real reactions.
Well, the reactions are real
Yeah.
because they did it in 2 takes. So the first one where it is supposed to pop out, it doesn't break through the t-shirt the first time. That was a mistake. But it worked. And then what they did know what was going to happen, but they didn't know how much blood. And I think that was the reaction because there was a lot of blood. And of course,
yeah.
John Hurt recreates his role in Spaceballs back in
Yeah,
'87,
he's in that one too.
which is quite funny.
What you funny thing is about this one is the making of it. I remember there was a show on here years ago called That's Hollywood, where
Yes.
Tom Bosley used to narrate it. I think that's where I saw this, that they used a lot of like animal parts, like cow livers and stomachs. That's like, real meat, livers.
Oh
and
yeah,
hearts
absolutely. And
stuff.
when they're examining the face hugger, face hugger. I hope I
Yeah.
said that right. They used I think it was like abalone and things like that, some sea
Oh, yeah, when they're
and
doing the
livers,
autopsy, yeah.
to do that because it looks very real and it still
Oh
holds
God,
up
yeah.
today. It's
Yeah, and then the acid blood drips through. There was, besides this, there's a whole line of comic books that came out from Dark Horse years
yes.
later. They got the license on it, and there's further adaptations of it, and what happened to the crew, because we all know we're not going to go into all the movies, but this Aliens, the sequel, which I think made more money than Alien, didn't it?
I think it did, yeah. Well, it was more accessible, I think.
It was more, yeah. But I'm just saying that they went on with the further adventures, and Ripley's character goes in different directions, and then Aliens 3 and 4 and all that stuff. But Marvel Comics now has the rights back because Disney owns Marvel and owns Fox. So Marvel's making a whole new line of Aliens comics. So there's a lot of Aliens material out there besides novels, and I think they did a photo novel. Like I said, I had it for Outland where they showed the whole movie, and I'm pretty sure Aliens had a photo novel that came out at the time of the movie, because I remember being in the bookstore and going through it and seeing the John Hurt shot and the thing coming out. So I'm pretty sure that's some of the merchandise.
That would have been terrifying as a kid looking at that.
That's why I didn't buy it. I think it was too spooky. But what other was there a soundtrack album? They
did release it.
Yeah.
But the Jerry Goldsmith scores, pretty good. It was originally his original themes were rejected to start with. Ridley Scott wanted something a little different, and they were originally looking at, I think, a Japanese composer, but 20th Century Fox weren't that happy with that choice, so they went to Jerry Goldsmith. They're always constantly looking. I always feel like Alien is a bit like the Terminator franchise. They always try and keep after Aliens, they keep trying making them, but they never reach the heights of that. And Prometheus, one of the worst films ever made, I feel, is
well, there was Prometheus, and what was the sequel called? Leviathan or something?
I can't even.
No, there was a part 2 to Prometheus, wasn't there?
Was there?
Yeah, it was with the blonde, big tall blonde actress, and Idris Elba. They were in the sequel.
Oh yeah,
that's the sequel. I thought.
Is that Prometheus. The sequel?
Yeah,
I've erased it from my mind. That's how.
No, it's tied in because because
they go back to LV-426.
Yeah, and Ridley Scott just gave up on it. I think there was supposed to be a third one.
Yeah,
but I actually saw that in a screening with Fox executives. The second movie.
Really?
Yeah, I got invited to go to the Fox Studios here in Connecticut, and my buddy worked for PR. And what do you say? It's one of those awkward moments when you're in the thing and you're watching it, and there's people that worked on the show,
Yeah.
and lights come up, and you're like, huh, that was interesting. Everybody got paid? Yeah, okay, way to go, buddy. Yeah. It wasn't good.
You just need to say, wow, the production design was fantastic, or wow, the
Exactly.
sound was
That music was
amazing.
great. It is sad because you're right. They never really captured the original.
Yeah.
I always thought of it as a haunted house. I've heard people call it Jaws in space
Yes.
because you don't see the creature so much. I'll tell you, you do see the creature once in a far shot, and it does look really phony. It's when he gets blasted out at the end,
Oh,
spoiler
yes.
alert, and he's climbing back trying to get into the spaceship. And there's this, and he's just bouncing around, and he gets blasted by the fire from the retro engines or whatever. It looks like a dude or a rubber doll or something. It doesn't look very scary at that point, but man, it was terrifying in the theaters or even at home. I didn't see it in the theater. I only saw it at home.
Yeah.
I remember it was something else.
Maybe in a darkened room, just rooting for Ripley to to kill the alien with Jones, a cat, surviving.
Jones,
So you just wanted to make sure that she made it. So you probably would forgive that after all.
No,
all
and
those amazing
sometimes not every
effects.
movie needs a sequel. And I know Aliens is great. It is a very good movie. It's a different type of movie.
Yes.
But if this just stood alone as its own, like even Jaws, if it just did Jaws,
Yep.
I never think of the sequels. I never think of Jaws 2, though it's not that bad. But 3 and 4, no, they don't exist.
Yeah.
This is a good standalone. I think it's in the Library of Congress or something as one of the
it was a
movies.
like culturally a significant piece of art. So it has been entered in, and rightly so. It is a classic, and it started the whole science fiction horror sort of genre, I guess.
I guess, yeah, I would say so.
Because you got so many copycats after that. Remember Extro? There was Extro, and there was one with who played Joni? Erin Moran. There was one with Erin Moran in it. In I think that was a Roger Corman style.
Oh God, no, I didn't see that. No, but I think what it has are 4 or 5 of these officially. Now there's Aliens, Alien 3 with the prison
Alien Resurrection,
4 Resurrection, and then it's Alien versus Predator 1, Alien versus Predator 2, and then we go into Prometheus, and then whatever movie, we can't remember the title that I'm telling you is part of that cycle. Yeah, you know why? Because the robot guy's in that one.
Yeah, Michael Fassbender.
He's in the
But
sequel.
he was in Prometheus.
Yeah.
And he does come back, doesn't he?
Right. And there's like, oh, he's playing a flute with himself. He's like, oh, do you know how to play a flute? I'm like, what is happening here? So
that's right.
Yes, I know.
And Guy Pearce. Guy Pearce is in one of those.
He plays the guy.
Isn't he Wayland?
Yes.
Waylon Jennings, I think, is who he is.
You've blocked it out through the Mandela effect. You never think you saw it, but you did. In fact, you were in the movie.
I was. Anyway.
So that's Alien, buddy.
So that is Alien. Go watch it if you can, particularly in the dark with surround sound and some popcorn and your favorite soda pop, and you're going to have a great time if you haven't seen it already. You know what you might also have a great time doing, Mitch?
Yeah.
Watching our other episodes.
That. Yeah, sure.
Come on, keep it family friendly, please.
I was like,
really? How can you find out a little bit more about the show?
Ed, it is easy as putting on a spacesuit and then climbing into a contraption and shooting a dart at an alien and blasting him off into space as he climbs back in, and you go to bed with your cat. All you do is hit the button below. That's a long way around to go and subscribe to the Mitch and Ed Excellent Adventure. And you too will go along with us as we battle aliens and sword and sorcery and wizards and people from 1,000 worlds right here on YouTube, talking about the shows you know and love.
That's right. And we're getting up to our 100th episode.
I know. This is number 93,
90s, which is pretty good. So, so stick around. We got lots more good content on its way. This is Ed Dollister.
This is Mitch Halleck.
And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.